What's going down, my Pazonos? Welcome back to a brand new special video. And today, just kind of wanted to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 once again. And honestly, yeah, the title is not deceiving you. I am not going to be buying the Nintendo Switch 2, at least for the time being. Yeah, there's an asterisk to that title because even though I'm not really interested in Nintendo Switch right now, or the Switch 2, I mean, it's not really like a bad console. Now, I love the Nintendo Switch 1. I did love it. You know, it's one of my favorite consoles of all time, and it definitely deserves all of the sales that it actually got all the way back, from like 2017 till now. But honestly, the Nintendo Switch 2 I've always seen as kind of underwhelming. I kind of wanted more things to do with it, like a better home menu, bigger game cartridges and stuff like that, so people could actually put bigger games on them, and a couple of other things. But I was still looking forward to the Nintendo Switch 2 in of itself, all honesty. But the thing about the Nintendo Switch 2 is that, I mean, I was just not really that excited for it, in all honesty, because, like, really, when a console first released, what is there really to play? Like, can we just, like, ask this question here, right? When the Nintendo Switch 2 first came out, well, okay, I guess you could say that there was a big game that came out, which was, the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but that was, like, one game, and I think, like, a couple of other things. But later on in that year, we got like, Mario Kart 8, then we got like, Super Mario Odyssey and all that other stuff. And I actually got my Switch originally back in December of 2017, and I've had it ever since then. And it's been absolutely amazing, of course. But even then, I will have to say that usually the launch titles for a lot of games aren't really that good, unless you're talking about maybe the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation 2 or something like that. Those are legendary consoles with like launch titles that are amazing. Now, the real problem is when it comes to, like, even though, like, I could say, like, all day, like, the launch titles, which, of course, there's only, like, Mario Kart World, and then there's, like, Cyberpunk, and all these other games. Like, the only exclusive game I think that's actually new is, Mario Kart World. Even though I can explain to you guys all day why I think that, buying a game for, like a game console at launch is just not really a good idea. There also is the problem with, like, future games and, of course, the current pricing of the gaming market right now. And, of course, I'm talking about the whole entire controversy that deals with the Mario Kart World situation, with it costing $80. And, hell, there's some other things people are saying about, like, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds costing about $90 and all this other stuff. And there's actually a video that I should probably make about that, too, because people are just, like, kind of tripping about all that stuff, in my honest-to-God opinion. But in all honesty, the entire idea that we're paying $80 for a video game like Mario Kart now, yeah, of course, it is, with the changing times and all that stuff, there's a lot more effort being put into, like, games. Not like more effort, but there's a lot more resources being put into video games. And of course, because of all this terror stuff going on, developers need to get, like, their money back and all that stuff. But is it really worth charging people like $80 for, like, new video games? I think the first time this kind of was, like, started making its rounds was, like, I don't know, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but I don't think it was, I'm probably, like, misremembering, but I think that was, like, the first time Nintendo specifically did that. Now, did I buy that game? No, because I still haven't really played all of Breath of the Wild. It's not really my kind of game. I mean, I'm kind of like a Wind Waker guy personally, for me, just speaking. But in all honesty, the games costing more nowadays is actually starting to tip a lot of people off. Now, where does this actually, like, make me, like, where does this actually concern with me? Personally speaking, I have never really, bought anything that was more than $60. Actually, to be honest with you, the only game that's ever cost more than $60 that I bought was Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And that game was about $70. That was literally the only game that I bought that was that price. I think the last game that I bought that was, like, full price, I think, was Sonic X Shadow Generations, and then I think before that was, like, Street Fighter 6. But I don't really, like, buy a lot of games, like, when they first come out. But, the thing about it is that most people actually buy things when they first come out because that's the novelty of the entire thing, right? You're buying games when they first come out, and because everybody else is buying it, and it's like the hot new thing. I'm never usually like that. I've never been like that. I don't just buy things just because everybody's buying them. I don't listen to a lot of music because of all the other people are listening to it. hell, movies, all that stuff, I don't care. Even video games, I never do things and I just jump ship just because, right? And it's actually another reason why I'm not really buying the Nintendo Switch 2. But with that being said, I will have to say that, for me personally, I don't really know how this whole pricing thing is going to really affect people. I guess if you're one of those people that likes to buy games when they first come out, yeah, I guess this really is going to affect you. But for someone like me, it's not really going to affect me because I usually buy games like at discounts or sales or anything like that stuff. Now with Nintendo, that's not really a common thing. As you guys already know, if you were to like buy like a new copy of like say Super Smash Brothers Brawl, and that game came out in like 2008. I remember being on like a GameStop back in like 2016, 2017, a whole 8-9 years after that game came out, and it was still $60. Nintendo isn't really like flexible when it comes to discounting their games and stuff like that. So really, this just begs the question, are games really worth $80 to $70? I personally feel like the bundle is pretty nice. I mean, the console is about, $450 when you just get it by itself. But with the game itself, you get, a $50 increase, but you get another game with it that is originally supposed to be $80. Now, that is the best bundle that you can probably get, because if you buy the game by itself, you're, looking at a, $30 price difference, with that being in mind. But with that being said, I mean, really, is Mario Kart World, and I'll just keep trying to ask this question without getting like sidetracked, is it really worth it? With like its open world, its new characters, and honestly, personally, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest here, I don't really think I would buy this game at $80. If I can't get like the bundle personally, I probably wouldn't get it. But what does that mean? Like the Nintendo Switch itself is about, does that mean that it's actually worth like $500 at least? If we're gonna say that, if we're gonna just get the bundle, is it really worth it? From what I've seen, kinda, yeah. The screen's bigger, the console's just bigger in general. I think the resolution has actually been increased, and as well as the frame rate. It can run Cyberpunk, and actually, it is literally the best way to play Cyberpunk actually on handheld. Even on my Steam Deck, not even on a Lenovo Legion Go or Asus ROG Ally, I don't even think, that game actually runs as well as it does on the Switch, and that's probably because the Nintendo Switch might be legitimately powerful. Although, I think people also did say that about the Nintendo Switch 1, and then later on down the road, the console's hardware started to age, and hopefully that doesn't happen as fast with the Nintendo Switch 2. And actually, I'm kind of hoping that at this point in time with gaming, I hope that like we're getting to a point where, technology is kind of starting to reach like a sort of peak, I guess, if you will. And I think we actually are kind of seeing that, because nowadays GPUs in the market are using a lot more AI-based features in order to artificially increase frames and stuff like that with like, artificial stuff. But like, the point of the matter is that I hope that the Switch actually does still hold its own, because I would say easily, because of the fact that it's technically about like, I don't know, like cheaper than a Steam Deck, which I love. I love my Steam Deck to death. I play it like every single day, and it's the main source of gaming that I have while I'm trying to build my PC. But with that being said, I feel like the Nintendo Switch 2 might be worth it actually. And, honestly, I also do like the fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 got hacked. I won't be buying it right now, but at the same time, I do like the fact that, you can hack it. One thing I really don't care about for, like, companies is when you can't, like, hack your own systems. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I, like, hack most of my stuff, because when I buy something, it's for me. Like, I don't like it when I'm buying something and I can't do everything with it. That's why I like to legitimately jailbreak, hack, and everything I actually like, having, because I like my stuff to be completely mine. It's one of the reasons why I'm actually considering Linux when I build my PC. But with that being said, I don't really think I'm going to be buying a Nintendo Switch 2 anytime soon. Maybe around the time of like the end of the year, honestly, because really at this point in time, the biggest reason why I'm not buying a Nintendo Switch is because if I have $500 right now, I'm going to put that into getting a GPU and not a Nintendo Switch right now. I'm fine with, having my Steam Deck for my games, and considering the fact that Mario Kart World is literally the only one game, and because I'm not actually interested in Cyberpunk or any of the other new releases or the re-releases that the console actually does have, because I'm not really interested in that stuff, I don't really see a reason to buy a Switch right now. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy that comes with, Nintendo Switch, and it's like, oh, Nintendo is so greedy, and Nintendo is this, that, and the third. And yes, I do actually have to agree with some of that. I just don't like listening to a whole lot of noise. And even if it is noise that I agree with, I will say right now that eventually all that stuff just becomes just redundant. And it's just like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? Because if we're going to keep talking about the Nintendo Switch 2's controversies, okay, what are we going to do about it? Because there's always going to be people who buy stuff just for the sake of the brand. And because of that, we have to make our own decisions, live our own lives, and have our own preferences. It's one of the reasons why I'm taking my channel in a new direction. We have to do what we want and not, sometimes we just can't we have to understand that, like, we can't make other people do things. So all these people talking about, oh yeah, well, Nintendo's bad now and all this other stuff. Yes, I'm saying this as a person who probably loves Nintendo and all this other stuff, and I do see their the lies, and I do see the discrepancies and all this other stuff. But at the same time, all these people are probably gonna buy Nintendo Switches anyway. You gotta practice what you preach at the end of the day, which is the reason why I say, in all honesty, while I'm still going to be buying a Nintendo Switch eventually, unless I find a reason not to, because I have been a PlayStation fanboy for a long time. Like, I've been playing PlayStation ever since I was 2 years old, with my first console being the PlayStation 2. I'm not even kidding. But the point of the matter is that while I bought in a PlayStation 2, I love the PlayStation 1 even though I never owned one. I've had a PSP. I love my PlayStation Vita. I love my PlayStation 3. And I especially love my PlayStation 4 Pro, one of the best consoles of all time, objectively, in my opinion. I will have to say I've never bought a PlayStation 5, and I don't think I ever will. In fact, I might, for GTA 6, but time will tell what would really happen in that situation, because who knows, Rockstar could actually, decide to release it on, the entire release date of, the same release date as the console versions for the PC version. But who knows? That's up in the air. With that being said, guys, just wanted to come on here and talk about something that I was passionate about, tell you guys why I'm not buying the Switch 2. With that being said, guys, thank y'all for watching. This has been great. Hopefully you guys are having a good night or day whenever you're watching this. Like and subscribe if you liked it. With that being said, guys, thank y'all for watching. Have a good night or day when you're watching this. And as always, Johnny.